Welcome to Stories of Hope. This is a podcast by the Dream Center.
Where you will hear from people who have stories that once seemed hopeless.
People whose stories of redemption and life transformation are so powerful, they can only be possible by the power of Jesus. Hey everybody, welcome back to Stories of Hope. Super excited about this new season 6 of the podcast. Here alongside Sarah, as always, our awesome co-host. And in today's first episode of this season, we are joined by Victoria McDonald. She is a previous Opportunity Village resident and is just one of our favorite people. And so we're super excited to get to sit down with her.
Very excited.
And so just thank you for being here and hanging out with us. And it's going to be fun. So it'll be a great time.
I'm excited.
It's going to be great. You also, I guess we can start with this too a little bit. You spoke at Dream Big last year, which was amazing. Something we've literally not stopped celebrating since November, which
Absolutely.
is awesome. And so I'm excited for people who didn't get to be there. Also, shameless plug at Dream Big, come this year. Can kind of hear some of your story and just hear about that. So I'd love to just dive in. I know I said a little bit of kind of how you got here, but I'd love to kind of hear your journey of getting to the Dream Center to begin with from your perspective.
Sure. All right. So first off, I would just want to say, when you live on the outside of God's will, sin and the world becomes your God.
Right.
So that's where it began.
Yeah.
I was in a relationship. I wasn't married. I was, having sex without being married. And it was with one person, but that still doesn't matter because we weren't married and it was outside of the will of God. And, the relationship, we were both broken, two broken people trying to make it work. And I tried my hardest to change him, and knowing that you cannot, only God can change people. So, it was pretty toxic. I tried to leave many times, and I just couldn't do it on my own. I would always fall back, always get pulled back in.
Right.
They really say that it takes 7 times. Well, it really, really takes 7 times.
Right.
But it was, he was, I don't know.
Yeah.
He was emotionally abusive a lot because my children and I have 4 children, but we didn't want to make him mad. So we would just walk on eggshells and, I couldn't even make some decisions on my own because I didn't want to make him mad,
Yeah.
And, he was more physical abusive to my kids than he was to me, but it was still there. And that's where, I finally got to a breaking point, and I was like, Lord, I need your help.
Yeah.
I told him that I was going to not be sexual anymore until I was married. And he was like, well, we already have 4 kids. Why would you do that? And I was like, well, I'm living for the Lord now,
Right.
And I prayed and prayed and fasted and prayed because sometimes, you don't get your answer unless it's fasting and praying. But one Sunday I was sitting in the middle of church listening to the pastor, and I heard, call the Dream Center. So it took me a few days to call because, I was like, is this for real? I have heard about the Dream Center from Santa Shop and stuff like that. So, I was sitting in the middle of church and called the Dream Center, and I called, and Tyler took my interview process, and
Yeah.
That's where it started.
That's crazy.
Yep.
How long ago were you in the program?
I graduated 2022.
Okay, great. That's what
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
August 2021 is when we came in.
Yeah, that was my that was the same month that I started. So I came in at the same time as y'all.
Yeah.
But I mean, you and Allison and that your guys' whole group, that was my first year here was with you guys and with all the kids and so I mean, obviously even just sitting here, it's just really, really awesome. So what did it look like transitioning into the program? What did kind of those first look at core to begin with? What those first 16 weeks, what did that all?
It was scary.
Mm-hmm.
I was living in a 3-bedroom apartment. So the kids had their own room.
Right.
I had my own room, and we went from that to a tiny home. So
Right.
it was an adjustment for all of us.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it was a good adjustment, though, at the same time,
Right.
because I knew that I was leaving something that I wanted to for so long,
Yeah. Yeah. And
for a long time.
having some kind of safe escape too, instead of just an escape of somewhere that though it was new, everybody in this entire building, as soon as you stepped in, was for you and in your corner and was going to do whatever possible to make sure we at least helped you to feel safe to some
Right.
extent.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Sorry, keep coughing. Sorry. As the program progressed, what was some of the first things looking back that you can remember learning about your situation or the Lord, and what were some of the first big milestones as the program continued?
So, I always wanted to be accepted.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be accepted. I have a big, even now, I still have to fight it sometimes of rejection,
Yeah.
From, I guess, I don't know if it stems from childhood or, I love my parents, but they did come from a divorced family.
Yeah.
So a lot of that could portray in that, but, I really, in the beginning, I lost myself trying to fit in with the other residents. And
Okay, yeah.
instead of really maintaining that time for my family and my children, and I lost myself, I wanted to be accepted by them, and I wanted to do that. So,
Yeah.
but every day, we did the core values, which helps so much.
Yes.
So that was a big,
Yeah.
the Romans 12:2, that one kind of sticks out
Yep.
to my mind the most.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do not conform to the pattern of this world. So
Yeah.
no matter how I feel, or,
How did you kind of get past that and start focusing on you and your kids, and obviously being good friends with the residents and having a relationship with them, but kind of pivoting of being accepted and actually focusing on you and what you had going on? What was that transition like for you?
I kept a journal every day, so that helped, a prayer journal. And without that, without prayer, without being in the Word of God, it was just hard, because my kids had to almost they were finally free. They lived here finally in freedom, which it was hard because they had to almost start back over from infancy,
Right.
because we lived in fear. And I know that God was always my answer. He was, and the support, of course, of everybody here at the Dream Center. And Debbie was here when she was our resident manager, and she helped me grow as a person as well. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
I'm thinking through, your story now has so much happening, and that has happened post program. What did the transition out into this new? I'm sure what felt like this like unknown new like life. What happens now? What
Right.
what did all that kind of look like and feel like just moving forward?
After the Dream Center, I didn't transition to the transitional house,
Right.
because we just needed more.
Yeah.
We needed more help, and we needed
A little bit more space.
more space, more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the Lord had his hand all over that, you
Right.
know, because the transitional house that we went to was enormous and it was crazy.
So
but
nice.
I know.
It was really nice.
But it was scary, you
Right.
know, because I had heard a lot in my life, like, you're a single mom. You're not going to be able to make it with 4 kids. Like,
Right.
I've heard that a lot,
Hmm.
you know. So to prove to myself and to the Lord, and, you know, I'm making it.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and I'm thankful and grateful.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So what is it now coming out of the program and being out for a little bit now? What is the biggest thing you've taken away from it? Like
Mhm.
what is the one thing that you've pulled so much from your time here, whether it's something to do with your kids or your family or even just you as a person? Like what is that thing that you still hold on to?
The biggest thing is trust the process. That's my biggest,
right.
you know, because no matter what everybody else's story looks like or their testimony, you know,
Mhm.
just trust the process. Have faith, because it's scary. It can get
Yeah.
scary. It's not easy.
Right.
You know, the Lord says it's a narrow walk, and it really, really is.
Yes.
Like, truly.
Yes.
So trust the process.
One of the things that's super encouraging to me about your story, looking at as a whole, looking like seeing y'all, I feel like I see you guys randomly. I'll like see you at church sometimes, or I'll, you'll swing by and say hi. But through watching you through the program, hearing your testimony, knowing so much of your story, seeing where you are now, how good you guys are doing, like I feel like your story is one of the most impactful for me of God's sovereignty through like just life and being a human, and
For
what
sure.
comes with what happened when we chose things over God and what sin does, just all these different things. I feel like God's hand over your life, hearing you talk about it and seeing the joy in your eyes and the true like acceptance and love that you show from the Father through your whole story. Just like every time I get to think about it or get to like see you or hear about any of it, I'm just like, this is like a piece of art in the whole spectrum of God's sovereignty over our lives, and I'm just so thankful every time. So just to like encourage and just thank you for allowing us to like be what feels like such a small part of this huge journey. It's just really cool. So
I definitely agree with that because I came in about halfway through your time here in the program, and building a relationship with you and specifically your daughter Ella.
Mhm.
Ella's been one of the biggest blessings in my life. I love her so dearly, like she's my own little sister.
yeah.
So like looking at your family and like where you are now, tell us what that dynamic looks like how you've like grown together and how you're no longer living in fear. Like tell us a little about your family, what that looks like now, how much the Lord's like brought you through all of that. I see you're crying now. You talk about your kids.
I'm pretty sure Ella's on the wall over there somewhere.
Yeah, Ella's picture's on behind my desk over there.
You know, they're my biggest motivator.
Yeah.
Beside, the Lord. So it's hard. The days are long, but the years go by so fast.
Right.
And we're like, oh, it's another year. So another year passed by.
Yeah.
But each one of them have, their own specific design purpose why they're here.
Yeah.
And I get to shape them or help shape them into that. So that's it's amazing to watch and to be a part of. And the Lord gives me his strength because I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
I would have already given up. Seriously. But
I think it's a credible testimony to have them watch you live your life.
Yeah.
And how
It's
you
true.
were in such a bad situation, but then like the Lord brought you through it and you were willing and you were obedient to do that. I think actions speak so much louder than words, and watching how strong you are, I can't even imagine like how much respect your kids are going to have. They might not understand it now, but as they get older, I truly believe that they're going to see there's so much in that.
There's been a lot of apologies and a lot of, forgive me, because I was so broken. I didn't have a voice for me, much less them.
Right.
So, but I think they see it.
Yeah.
I do. I think so.
And and if not now, like truly, I think there'll, like Sarah said, there'll come a day where it clicks in their head of like our mom took care of us, and like, oh gosh, they're gonna be able to see you trusting Jesus and giving it to Him and asking for Him to take care of your family. And there'll come a day where they, whether it's tomorrow or in 10 years, like they'll get it. And I know that that's true. So yeah, that's great, Sarah. That was awesome.
Yeah, but complete faith.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, there are days that I still have to let go because I can't control it. I'm here and I'm their mom. And, I prayed one time and I was like, Lord, let me be logical in my thinking, because, that's what men are. And give me the mind of a woman and a man. Like, be logical, because I'm so emotional. I really am. And immediately, whenever I prayed that, he was like, He's like, I'm their father.
Oh,
he was like,
okay.
You are their mom, and I designed you to be their mom. Don't look past anything else other than be their mom. And
got chills.
Yeah.
I think that just shows how much the Lord provides. Whatever we think we're lacking or we think we don't have, we do have it. We have it in the Lord. We have it in abundance and in perfection.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, as we kind of get ready to wrap up, we'd love to give the opportunity, if there's anything that you like want to share or have anything that you could, like if you could leave anybody listening with a word of encouragement or advice or anything, like just one thing that you could leave them with. You got anything?
Well, I mean, the Lord has brought me on a forgiveness. Forgiveness is hard. Sometimes it's daily. And, I have forgiven their dad, even though it was a process.
Right.
Also, I remember, I don't know if you remember, but that book that you gave me, I can't remember the name of it, but it was by Lisa.
Oh, the Lisa Turker's book. Yeah. Yes.
That helped me a lot also. So,
That's awesome.
And stay faithful.
Yeah.
Trust the Lord. It's going to get hard, but you're not alone. Even if it might feel like you're alone, because there are days where I feel very lonely. But I know that, God's right there. So, I can feel Him, and
I love
trust
it.
the process.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to keep saying.
Absolutely. It's true. I agree.
So true.
I agree 100%. So that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this and for talking with us. And we've recorded a couple episodes today, and all of them we've said like, we know this is in your comfort zone, and this is probably like okay. But like every time that we have those conversations, like at the end of the episode, it's like everything was so clear and so helpful, and like you did such a great job. So just thank you for saying yes and for pushing through.
And I truly believe that your story is going to really reach somebody. Yeah. Someone that feels like what they're going through, they're alone in it, or no one else can relate. Yeah. Like hearing your story, they're like kind of what you were saying, like you feel alone, but you're really not. Someone's going to hear your story and be like, I'm not alone. Yeah. I'm right. Victoria went through it, so can I. Yeah.
You can leave. Yeah. You can leave the relationship and do it on your own, even with 4 kids.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we love you, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys on the next episode of the podcast.